What is up, everyone? This is the Russell 2000 on the screen. Right now, you can just see kind of hanging out, knocking on the all-time high territory. What this means for altcoins in the crypto space at the confluence of what the business cycle is doing, what the Fed is doing, it is massive. And I don't say that lightly. I want to explain what this means for altcoins. This chart in particular, I want to break it down. We're going to look at the kind of total crypto market cap chart, excluding Bitcoin, so it's altcoins. We're going to look at Ethereum, the macro setup that's happening, what this means for altcoins, why we should be paying attention to Ethereum, even if you don't hold it. And I'm going to also look at Cardano charts because it is such a nice visualization of the business cycle and of PMI. And I want to answer the question, why did ADA fail in like the last year? Why has altcoins in the last year and crypto in general, why have we been in a bear market? I want to discuss because the setup happening right now, everybody, if you are a macro investor, it's incredible. And I don't say it lightly. I really don't. I've studied so much data and I want to try and break it down in the charts. I know I haven't been covering charts as much lately, but I want to do some charts in this video. I'm excited to do so. So please hit the subscribe and like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system, everybody, we still have the free trial going on. I invite you to click the link below. If you're a macro investor, get back there, start planning. A bull cycle can come out of nowhere. And right now we have the ingredients on the macro for something very special, I think, to happen. And our system allows you to gauge risk along the way so you know when to sell. And even right now, if it's a good time to have been accumulating. So check it out. Hit the link below. We have a free trial. I want to just mention something to you as we start this video before we get into the charts. I saw this post. The biggest technological boom since the internet, ongoing Fed interest rate cuts into AI boom, Trump's impending new Fed chair announcement, $700 billion in annual technology capex, the end of QT, quantitative tightening, widespread deregulation initiatives by SEC, the most market-conscious U.S. president ever, which is so true, $2 trillion in annual deficit spending, 13% year-over-year earnings growth in the S&P 500, the return of global fiscal stimulus. These things are the ingredients to an economic boom. And there's no guarantees ever, but if we were to have, with the current landscape of global events and global economies, if we were going to have a list of ingredients, it is this. This is the best shot of a bull move. This is the best shot of expansion. I want to start on the Russell 2000, then we're going to look at altcoins. To start and lay some context, I want to show you this video I did on the Russell 2000, a very quick clip. This was November 22nd, or like around a couple of weeks ago or so. Just check this out very briefly. The Russell 2000 tracks ridiculously with the PMI cycle. PMI peaks, Russell peaks. PMI rolls over, Russell rolls over. PMI bottoms, Russell bases. PMI moves back above 50, Russell explodes. This happened in 1991, 2003, 2010, 2016, 2020. And here's another factor that is so important. As you watch altcoins, we don't have that much data. It is very true. I mean, we don't have that much data. When you zoom out on a Russell 2000 chart, the data, there's way more data. And when you start dissecting business cycle and business cycle expansion and contraction, Russell 2000 is an amazing indicator. And why is that? It's because it doesn't consist of like Google and Apple. This is lower cap stuff. This is a real reflection of economic activity. And so that's why it is so closely correlated with expansion. This green line is the PMI expansion. And if we remove it, you can see the correlation, right? So what is so important is the Russell 2000 right now is testing all-time high. And we could get rejected. Let me just say this. Like you can see a lot of resistance here. We might get rejected again. We just saw a tick down in PMI, but I want to say something. This is giving fuel for Trump's Fed to do what they're about to do. The fact that we've even got a little shorter term tick down in terms of PMI and business activity. And the reason why is because as we go into next year and Trump's picking his new Fed chair, and he's doing everything he's doing with Bessent. And by the way, there's another headline. President Trump reportedly considering making Treasury Secretary Bessent his top economic advisor if Kevin Hassett becomes the next Fed chair. I'm telling you, the ingredients, the fact that we still are compressed and contracted when it comes to PMI, as Russell is doing what it's doing, maybe it gets rejected. Maybe we go into next year, we're still consolidating, everybody. It does not change my bull thesis. I want to let you know that right now. But what I will be doing is monitoring this chart. I'll be monitoring our risk models. I will be monitoring altcoins. But going back to the Russell 2000, if you just zoom out, just look at this. And what I also want to do is I want to also not overlay just the business cycle. I did a video the other day on Fed net liquidity. This is the Fed net liquidity indicator. Look at it. Look at it. Not only has it been contracted for years and kind of like just consolidating, look at most recently. It's been down. We think about altcoins performing very bad, especially if you've been around crypto in the last couple of months. It's been the worst. It's been the worst. Look at Fed net liquidity. This bottoms, PMI bottoms. We start going into expansion. Look at last cycle, Russell 2000 breaking into all-time highs in November. PMI is expanding. Fed net liquidity is expanding. And then you go back previous cycle, there's PMI chart. Look at it. Expansion with Russell. It's just the story, everybody. So there are a lot of ingredients to suggest we're about to go into expansion. There is going to be printing happening. So the question is, are you prepared? I want to give you some kind of context to this. If you go to our risk models, we're at an 18. If you want to get a sense of, besides everything I've been studying from a monetary perspective and just economic perspective, a perspective of why I've been so bullish and I remain pretty hype about the crypto space and as a value investor, my investments, I look at my risk models, our risk models in our intelligence system, 18 on the altcoin risk model. We go back to pre-bull last cycle, kind of October 2020. Everybody wondering what's up, what's going to happen. Russell 2000, as you remember, we just looked at it, breaking out November 2020. Look at the risk model for altcoins, 27. It was a pre-bull market number. 18 in terms of risk is a pre-bull market number, everybody. It doesn't mean we're breaking out tomorrow. Our indicators, our risk models, these are macro tools. These are macro indicators pulling in a ton of data. But you can go to Ethereum, for instance, just to get some context. In November 2020, Ethereum was in the 40s. Ethereum's just under 40, right? You can just see November 2nd, 43. And then even shortly before that, it was 33 in the end of September 23rd. Very similar risk score. We are going into a very similar cycle in terms of Fed monetary policy, if not even more bullish in certain ways, what is about to happen. So we have to be very mindful that this could be a very quick thing and the next crash could be insane. So it's going to be important to know when to sell, when risk gets very crazy. That's what our risk models are for. Now, if we go, I want to take this into the charts. This is just in general, all of crypto. This is crypto market cap just above $3 trillion. I have this on here. I don't know. It's this business cycle thesis. Everything I've been talking about, it's going to be tested on the macro. This is going to take a little time to play out. Through all of the negativity that we've been in, right? Everybody calling the bear market in the last month. I've been so relentless in presenting nonstop data on why I'm just at the flip side of it, everybody. I am trying to prepare for an upside move. But what's interesting on this chart, and then we'll go into altcoins like Ethereum and Cardano, and I don't know, 27 days left of the monthly. Who knows how this year will end, but we're above that 20-month moving average, which is kind of notable and something just to keep an eye on as we just dissect all of these charts. And we are completely consolidated on the RSI. The RSI on the monthly on a lot of these charts is just suggestive of the bull market still hasn't happened yet. And it sounds crazy because if you go to the altcoin chart, we get a little bit of a different visualization on the altcoin charts because Bitcoin's not included. But even in this, what I would call a bear market, listen, here's the PMI. It's been contracted for years. Altcoins move when it expands. But even in that contraction, right? You can see we entered a bear market. QT, PMI falls. We entered the bear market for sure. But then it's contraction. And all along the way, altcoins have put in higher highs and higher lows. Some have done better than others. But altcoins have hung in there. And we've not even had expansion. It's not been any type of bull market yet for altcoins. This is completely a database thing. Me saying that is completely database. That's not an opinion. There's not been a bull market. When we get an expansion of this chart, the PMI, then we can really start looking at a bull move for altcoins. This is how it's been. Russell 2000, as I said, exemplifies that and shows that story even more because there's more data on it, on the Russell 2000. But here's the setup for altcoins, everybody. And not only that, this chart, what it does is we look at we bring into play true perspective. Bear market, entering the bear market last time was, guess what? Entering years of quantitative tightening that just ended this week. It was entering into all of the mess with Fed rate hikes, Luna, Celsius, FTX, everything. All that was happening going into the last bear market. That's not happening right now, everybody. Hence why I do not think we're falling into a bear market. We're getting ready for something explosive because of what's here. And so let's go look at Ethereum. I want to just discuss kind of what's going on. The structure of it is interesting. And we're going to get a little bit of a reflection on the ADA charts as well. But one thing about Ethereum is if you look at the structure of this setup, and it's going to be interesting to track, is we have kind of this inverse head and shoulders setup. Don't know how it will play out. Little support right now, even above the 200-week moving average. Keep in mind, we fell below the 200-week moving average back here. If you remember, the April fear was at the beginning of the bear market. Doesn't appear so. Ethereum broke from 1,400 and made a move to almost 5,000. Okay, so to put things into perspective, everything you've been seeing online, sentiment, the high fear indicators just going off the charts and exploding, this is what all the panic has been about. This move that happens all the time in crypto. This happens all the time, but the difference is that we're at the confluence of a massive new business cycle. So that's something to keep in mind, but the structure of the Ethereum chart, I think, is very important as we have QT ending this week, as we have maybe a slow shift in terms of PMI. And so far we've ticked down. Our most recent data coming in is we've ticked down on PMI. So that just is kind of like, all right, it's not ready to expand yet, but we need to keep an eye on it, and we need to keep an eye on how Ethereum reacts, because Ethereum as a whole is a great indicator for altcoins and the health of altcoins as a whole. So right now I'm absolutely just still tracking this trend line. I know this entire triangle we've tracked is kind of just broken, right? We got the nice break to the downside, busted triangle in play. We didn't hold support at the apex here. Oftentimes, crypto is just way more volatile, and we've fallen below the lower trend line. But now that we're testing it confluent with the 50-week moving average, you can see 50-week just below the trend line. I'm very curious to see what Ethereum does around 3,100 down to like 3,000. And we're there right now. It would be phenomenal to see Ethereum break back into these two trend lines and break above ultimately 3,500. Then we could really start seeing a nice macro reversal in play. But this story, everybody, that I'm trying to tell here, this is a macro story that goes right into 2026. And so we need to be patient and brace for continued volatility. Ethereum could go and put another swing low at the 200-week moving average 2,500. I don't know. That's Ethereum, though. What I want to talk about, and I think ties everything I've talked about together pretty good, is Cardano. Cardano is one of those charts that when you line up the PMI, the business cycle in green, it is like, look at this reflection. Look at it. It's like you wonder, man, how did ADA get this pump back here? Well, look what PMI was doing, pumping. And then what's up with that failure there? What was PMI doing? Failing. Pump. And then for like a year, just contraction. It's been months and months and months of PMI contraction. And what's it been for Cardano? Same thing, contraction. That's why ADA failed. And I think it's an important question to answer, especially on my YouTube channel, in my videos, because before I really started, and it is what it is, it took me some time to come around and start studying the macroeconomic factor here and Fed policy here. But before I started really digging into that, the question was, what's up with the similarity of structure, right? Look at that. Look at the similarity in structure. And the question was, why didn't we break out here? This was supposed to be it, right? Breakout. Like right here. Why? Look, this is why. At the very least, this is the best guess why. Expansion on the PMI, no expansion this time. And why is that? This is what it is. It's a Fed that was dragging their feet, and who knows what they're even going to continue to do. So there's no guarantee on the very short term, especially, but in any macro or in any term that we're going to expand now just because QT is over. Doesn't have to work like that. I've been covering a lot of videos about that. But what is going to happen with this? And what's going to happen with ADA in the process? That's the question. But I think what's so valuable for all of us, if you've been looking at the structure of ADA and wondering, why, man? We got the move last time. Why is it not happening this time? Is Cardano done? Are altcoins done? Because this is the story for pretty much every altcoin. Most altcoins. The reason is this. This has been a bear market, everybody. Since last year, we've been in a bear market. And right now, the macro structure is completely changing after years of QT, after years of just the Fed and their policy and what they've been doing and just draining liquidity out of the system. So this is where we are right now. I wanted to just do a nice update on the charts. It feels good, non-edited video, just talking with y'all. So I'm preparing right now. I'm bullish right now. I don't even care about all the noise that is out there. There's so much noise. Bear market starting, 4-year cycle. I don't even care. I'm planning. If you're a macro investor, I wanted to just say something to our members. Thank you for being a member. I love you guys. If you're not a member, if you want to get back there, now's a good time, because I would just message the team the other day. I think I'm going to be raising prices probably starting in January. That's probably what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to push for. And so if you are in our system, you're locked in. Your current pricing locked in, but it's time. There is so much value in this thing. And I think we've done a very good job of getting people on board through the bear market, through everything that we've been through. But I'm going to probably be raising the prices. So if you want to get locked in at current pricing, please feel free to try us out. At the very least, it's a trial. Click the link below. I'm excited to see what your thoughts are. I'm excited to have you come back here and planning your kind of crypto journey and using these tools. And we have a lot of things in store. We have a lot in the works. So check it out. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. God bless.